A journey through the Barry Halper collection.
One time, when I was at the Hall of Fame and met Sandy Koufax for the first time, and he said, yeah, I'll sign it for you, but I just have to ask you one question. Why? So I said, why what? He says, just why? Why would you want to have all this stuff in your house?
Starring Billy Martin.
If you imagine him dumping me from Marilyn Monroe when I was his roommate, I guess guys do that.
With Mickey Mantle.
That night, my first night in the hospital, I dreamed that I died and went to heaven.
Nolan Ryan.
And then you threw in a Walter Johnson autographed
That's
baseball,
right,
and I
exactly.
still have that, which is one of the few mementos that I have.
Don Mattingly.
This is what collecting's all about, I think. Probably being able to trade things back and forth and be able to see part of the past.
And voices of baseball's past.
There's been so many lovely things said about me, and I'm glad that I've had the opportunity to thank you.
He hits a drive. That one is deep. The right going. It is gone. The pitch deep to right field. Holy cow, I don't believe it.
If I have a Babe Ruth autographed picture that has been documented to be worth $2,500, that's what about it's going for now. And I have a team picture signed by the 1927 Yankees, and you can just imagine the value of that picture. People say it's worth $10,000. Okay, but it's just a figure because I'm not going to sell it for $10,000 because I'm not selling it all. I've been offered a lot of money for a lot of different items, but I don't consider that anything as part of my hobby, that the value is there. That's why I keep it. I keep it because I love baseball, and it's been a lot of fun, and that's what I intend to do with it.
150 miles from Cooperstown, New York, on a pleasant tree-lined street in suburban New Jersey, sits the home of businessman Barry Halper, possessor of the largest private collection of baseball memorabilia in existence. A collection that is said to rival that of the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. Here, Barry Halper lives out the fantasy of every man. Here, Barry Halper fulfills the dream of a lifetime.
It's hard to give an exact figure. However, if we're talking uniforms, I have 964 uniforms. Baseballs, over 3,000 autographed baseballs. I have over 500 bats, of which about 150 are autographed. And autographed pictures, contracts, letters from famous ball players. I have the autograph of every person in the Hall of Fame, including many 19th century ball players. And as far as baseball cards, I have over 1 million baseball cards, starting with 1869, the first year of the Cincinnati Red Stockings. That was the first professional team. I was born in Newark, New Jersey, and around 1948, 49, I was 9, 10 years old. I used to go to Rupert Stadium in Newark, which is where the Yankees affiliate, Newark Bears, they were an International League team. And I befriended Lou Novikov, who was called the Mad Russian. And he took a liking to me, and he got all the players to sign all the balls. I got some gloves from them, and I had him sign his scorecards. And then one day, Mr. Novikov said to me, you know, you've been coming around here for a long time, for a few months now, and we're really getting tired of all signing these balls. What are you doing with them? I said, I don't know, I'm just keeping them. He said, honestly, I have every one you ever gave me. He said, you come here tomorrow. I'll give you something to stop all the questioning about autographing balls. So I said, what is it? You just be here tomorrow, son. So I couldn't wait for the next day, and I got there at the aforementioned time, and he gave me a bag that you could get from the supermarket or grocery store at that time, and I opened the bag, and there was a uniform in there. And he said, that's your uniform, now we're even, no more autographs. And I appreciate it. I thought it was his uniform. I look at it, and the name is in there, McCoskey. And I knew it was Barney McCoskey, and that uniform was from 1940 Detroit Tigers. And that's the first uniform that I ever got. Word got around the International League, there's this kid in Newark, he takes all his uniforms. You give him gloves, bats, uniforms. And every time a team came in, 2 more uniforms, 3 uniforms. And by the time I was in high school, I had 75 uniforms, all from just being in the right spot at the right time.
Although this is my 13th year with the New York Yankees, and not being a bit superstitious, I will give every effort to better my record of last year, and I sincerely hope we can win the pennant for the Yankees this year.
In fact, one of the best trades I ever made was, I got a call one time from a fellow who replaced Lou Gehrig, Babe Dahlgren. He saw me on a Today Show, and after the interview, I guess he got in touch with NBC, and they forwarded to me. And what it was, he has Lou Gehrig's last glove, because when Lou Gehrig came in to the clubhouse May 2nd, 1939, in Detroit, and he flipped the glove to Pete Sheehy, who was the clubhouse manager at the time, and he said to Pete, I won't be needed anymore, Pete. You know, he just couldn't bend over, he just couldn't play anymore, he retired right there on the spot. Babe Dahlgren was sitting in his locker, and he went over to Pete and said, Pete, you know, I'm playing today because Lou can't play. I'd love to have his glove. So Pete says, sure. He took the glove and flipped it to him. The only problem is Babe Dahlgren's right-handed, and Gehrig naturally was left-handed. So Babe Dahlgren kept the glove all these years. So now we're talking 40 years later, 1979, when Babe Dahlgren saw me on a Today Show. And he still has Lou Gehrig's glove. Now, Babe Dahlgren's got a couple of daughters, and naturally they're married, and the glove, he can't cut the glove in half. So his question to me was, do you have anything of me when I played for the Newark Bears? Or do you have anything of me that I've never seen? And what I had was some movies of him hitting a home run in 1939 World Series. So I traded him the programs. I had a bat of his that was autographed by the whole team from the Newark Bears, which I gave to him, plus the movies, and he sent me the glove.
The past 2 weeks, you've been reading about a bad rag. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Barry Halper's love of baseball extends beyond the older legends of the game. He appreciates the stars of today with the same reverence, such as Yankee first baseman Don Mattingly.
Don, you know, the 87, when you hit the 8 consecutive home runs in 8 consecutive days?
Right.
I was with Dale Long recently and had Dale Long sign a ball 8 times with the intention of having you sign 8 on the other side of the ball. So I think if you could do that for me, I'd really appreciate it.
Oh, I'd be honored to, Barry.
Okay.
How's that look?
Great. Don Mattingly 8 times, Dale Long 8 times, commemorating 8 consecutive home runs. If no one else ever does it, it stays like this forever.
I'm going to try to do it again sometime soon.
Try to go for 9, you know? Now that we got the baseball done, now, I brought a Lou Gehrig bat. I'm going to give it to you with the proposed trade that we have. I have your bat, your glove,
and a glove.
Lou Gehrig's bat.
All right, that's a deal.
Who do you think I better deal that?
I think I probably did a little better than you on that one. I can get another bat and another glove, but...
Lou Gehrig's kind of tough to find.
This is what collecting's all about, I think. Probably being able to trade things back and forth and be able to see part of the past.
Give a good swing at it. Let's see how...
Good swing?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'll take a shot at Lou here, huh?
You really had to be strong to swing that, huh?
I did. All right, Barry.
Okay, thanks a lot. And one old-timers game, I went to the Yankees in 1954, behind the barricade, and a Cy Young gets out of his car. He was in his 80s, using a cane. I held his cane. He used my shoulder for a crutch and signed the ball on my shoulder, Cy Young. Now, I appreciate it. As he's giving it back to me to pick up his cane, the pipe falls out of his breast pocket. And I pick it up, and he looked at it. He says, look at it, got a crack in it. Now, see what you made me do? So I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Young. He said, you know what? You keep the pipe. It's okay, I got more. So I said, now, here's a true collector in me, in my blood. I said, could you sign it? He said, boy, you really hit he said, the fountain of youth today. He signed the pipe, Cy Young, and he signed the ball for me. Now, he introduced me to a fellow standing next to him. All this, everybody's looking around. I mean, nobody else is allowed to be anywhere. I just happened to it was like drawn like a magnet underneath the barricade. And he introduces me to this fellow. He said, you should get his name. And I had a ball in my other pocket. I took it out. I don't know who it was. And he signed it, Moose McCormick. Now, I had heard of him, but I naturally never recognized him. He played in 1910, 12, 14. And he took out of his pocket, wait a minute, fella. He took out a stamp, and he went like this on a ball, rocking it back and forth. And I looked at it, it was a stamp of a moose. So after that, I decided, years later, to get everybody named Moose on the same wall. So far, I've got 7 mooses, or 7 meese, whatever you call it, on the same wall. But one interesting facet of my collecting happened at the University of Miami when I came home one Christmas time and I took an autographed sheet of from my scrapbook. I had Babe Ruth on it. That was the only signature on it. Now, at the University of Miami, my baseball coach was Jimmy Fox, Double X, the Hall of Famer. I had told Jimmy about it, and he said to bring it back when you come home from Christmas. And when I brought it down there, he said that Mel Ott was going to visit with him the next day. Why don't you wait tomorrow? We'll both sign it. And he's the one who put the seed in my head. He said, then you'll have all three guys who had 500 home runs, because it was Ruth, Mellott, and Jimmy Fox at that time. This is 1957. And they both signed it with the same pen. So now I have Ruth, Fox, and Ott. Many years later, one by one, I started getting, Ernie Banks and Eddie Matthews and Mickey and Killebrew, and eventually got them all on there. And now I have all 14 on one sheet, and I have all 14 surrounded with their own baseball card, which is autographed also. Being the perfectionist that I am, Reggie was in town when he had 493. He was tied with Gehrig, and Reggie knew about the sheet because I had told him, when you get 500, you're going on the sheet. So he told me to bring the sheet along, I'll sign now, because you know I'm going to get 500. But this was September, and I said, Reggie, I think we'll wait for next year. He says, well, I'll be, he started, why don't you let me sign it now? I said, Reggie, you didn't hit 500 yet. What if something happens to you? What if you injure your arm, you can't swing? He said, well, you know what, when I get 500, I'm not signing the damn thing. But next year, when he came into the stadium, he was like at 5:06, I had him sign it, and he busted my chops a little bit. He did it,
A list of those who have visited the Halper home to view his collection reads like a who's who in baseball. The great Joe DiMaggio is a frequent guest. Pete Rose, Darryl Strawberry, George Brett, all have visited and been overwhelmed by the collection. For years, Billy Martin has planned a visit to the Halper home, and he finally made it one recent afternoon. Let's join Billy as he's greeted by the Halpers, Barry, his wife Sharon, and their son Jason.
They tell me, I've heard it from a lot of players who've been over his house, that he's got some kind of collection of Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, you name it, Ty Cobb. I think he's got more stuff in there than they got in the Hall of Fame. Been telling him I'm going to come over here for the last 20 years. Take me out to the ball game. I heard that song before. Hey, Barry.
Billy, how are you?
I finally made it, huh?
Yes, sir. Good to see you,
Hey,
Billy.
Jace, my ex-fat boy. All right. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, Billy.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Am I late as usual?
Right on
On
time.
Are you going to show me this collection I've been hearing about
I
so
sure
much?
am. I'm anxious to show you right
I'm
now.
anxious to see it, too.
Okay,
really.
let's go. We're ready.
This is great. Jason, what are you doing out of uniform? Huh? You want to lead the way? I've been giving you all the orders for the last couple of years.
Billy, come on down. I think there's quite a few items here that would certainly spark your attention.
Oh, this is neat, Barry.
Dempsey and Ruth having breakfast. I'd like to know what
That's something?
they were both doing wearing their bathrobes.
Two greats right there.
Speaking of two greats, I got one great in this picture right here.
Oh, my
What is
goodness.
this picture?
That's an old one. My goodness, where'd you get that?
Billy Martin, his softball team.
Yeah, this is the It Club. It was a softball team we used to play to get money for charity and get maybe $20,000, $30,000 for infantile paralysis. It was a great ball club. There's Ray LaManno, played with Cincinnati. There's
Right.
Cookie Lavagetto,
Cookie,
played with
sure.
the Brooklyn Dodgers. Augie Galang used to play with the Chicago Cubs. That's my brother Tudor right there. And that's me.
That's Billy.
First time I've seen him in years. I think I got one home somewhere, I'm not sure.
He signed it years ago.
Yeah, that's a good picture, Barry. This is something else.
Here is a baseball game from 1893. You just flick it with your finger.
It's an oldie, huh?
Yep. Here's a Babe Ruth in his rookie year, 1914, with Providence. Always, no matter what picture you see Babe in, he's always the middle.
The Babe, what a man.
On this side, we have 1886 pictures. That's like 103 years ago. Boston and New York. Now, at that time, the New York team was the Metropolitans. And as a result of the manager, Jim Utry, who's about 6'4", and he had some
Top
players,
hat.
top hat he's wearing, black tie, you know.
That's neat.
But when they saw him come on the field with his tall players, the opposition remarked that, these guys, the Metropolitans, they look like giants. That's how the New York team became the Giants. Joe D.
There's Joe D. Yeah, he's great.
Where's the rest
great
of
man. You imagine him dumping me from Marilyn Monroe and I was his roommate? I guess guys will do that. But I was a good cook. That's what made me mad.
What was that, 1950?
Yeah, I roomed with him. He befriended me. It was just great. I was just a rookie from California, and he took me under his wing in spring training and took me to dinner, and I was just in awe because this great man took me out like that. I'll never forget that. I know when he came in the clubhouse, it was like a senator in the United States walking in. Joe, if he didn't get a hit, we ate the hotel. I mean, didn't go out. Sometimes you eat in a room, wouldn't go out. He was a very proud man. He should be, because he was one of the all-time greatest, no question about that. It was a pleasure, even at his twilight of his career, to watch him play, to see how many good things he can do, like running from first to third. I never seen him get thrown out. Gliding on the ball in the outfield with ease, just hit the ball and sting it hard. And the last day of the season, I don't know, for some reason, I'm not a person who grabs souvenirs and things like that, but unless it's Civil War stuff. I just went down to the bench, and there was his bat with all the olive oil on it and rosin that he put on, and I just grabbed it, took it home with me because I knew he told me this was going to be his last year. I really cherish that.
I've had injuries that have been too frequent, and they certainly have been no fun. And as long as the game is not fun any longer with me, I've played my last game of ball.
Now, Billy, here's a picture that you might want to comment on.
Oh my goodness, that's an old picture of me
Yeah.
at the old Copa Club, I
The
think.
Copa, that's right.
Yeah.
Probably the only
Yeah.
one that survived all these years.
Isn't that a dandy? That hat. I love the hat. Looked like
This is-
Keystone Cop hat.
This is Heine Grove's hat. And this is a Giant hat, New York Giants. That was their old symbol. But
Heine Grove.
Heine Grove, the bottle bat. Now here we have, this bat is, always curious when some of the ball players come over. Babe Ruth autographed bat. A real piece of lumber.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, Hank Aaron picked it up. Says, if I wouldn't have hit 755 with this bat.
Hank would have hit anything. Yeah. Talk about a home run king. There's a man. I played with Hank. But only a couple of months in
Milwaukee, right?
Yeah.
And in 1933, as in so many other seasons, Babe Ruth was the Sultan of SWAT. He was past his peak, but in the very first All-Star game, he came to bat with one man on and with poetic justice pulled a home run to provide the winning margin.
The cornerstone of Barry Halper's collection is Babe Ruth. There are more items of the great Bambino in the Halper collection than of any other individual.
Mrs. Ruth, I met at a Yankee welcome home dinner, and she said, "Oh, you're the one who has all my husband's stuff? Oh, I'd love to see some of it sometime," but she never was here. And she called Babe Ruth's sister, who lives in Maryland, and I got to talk to her on the phone about a lot of items that I have of her brothers. And then I got to meet her when I was invited down to Baltimore for a Babe Ruth night, and being I had loaned a lot of items to the Babe Ruth Museum, I was able to meet Babe Ruth's sister. And here she is, a woman that was in her late 80s, and she's still alive today, and just writing a note to me that I'm glad you have a lot of my brother's stuff. It's like, you know, Babe Ruth's sister. I mean, it's really uncanny. Well, Billy, let's come down and show you another room of quite unusual articles. Here's Bambino.
Oh, my goodness.
That's from Madame Tussauds in London.
That's something?
Now, the Babe never wore a New York Yankee uniform with an NY on it. They didn't have them until 1935. But this was one made for the model.
That's the old wall.
Yep.
We used to play in those things. I swear, Barry, after a doubleheader, they weighed 20 pounds.
In a game, if you played both ends of a doubleheader, you could lose. A pitcher could. Vic Rash, I remember, used to lose 10, 15 pounds.
Well, I didn't lose that much because I was a smaller man, but I tell you, after a doubleheader, I was tired.
Those kind of gloves, when Willie Randolph was here one time, Willie said, no wonder they hit 400 so much in those days, because they couldn't pick it like we do today.
Yeah, the bigger gloves now, players have a little more range, I think.
And here have some of the Gold Glove Awards. Soil over Salas.
Well, I coached him in 1965 when he won the MVP award. And that 1 year, he was just outstanding.
Yeah.
He lives in Minnesota still.
And Bill White, and National League president, have his Gold Glove.
Jim Cott pitched for me at Minnesota, and I coached also out there. And he was a great competitor, and he's had a few years in this game of baseball, hasn't
25 years.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fox MVP trophy, and I have Chuck Klein's.
he? Chuck Klein, a great hitter, wasn't he?
He played in that bandbox in Philadelphia, but still, it doesn't make a difference where anybody played. If you can, I don't care if you hit 30 home runs on a playground, it's 30 home runs. I want to show you this bat because everybody's talking about Joe Jackson and, you know,
Shoeless Joe Jackson?
Shoeless Joe Jackson. Tell me what you think some sluggers can do with that bat. It's Black Betsy, that's what it is.
I'd bunt with it.
That's a heavy bat.
Yeah, it's too heavy for me, yeah. I'd be a little tardy.
Yeah, but this is, and it even had the Black Betsy right on it.
Yeah.
He was the first one that had a black bat like this.
Judge Landis did a job on all them, didn't he?
Yep. You know, the interesting thing about the Black Sox scandal, 1919, is that they all were proven not guilty in a court of law.
Yeah.
But Judge Landis said, makes no difference, you're guilty, you're out of baseball.
Seacott was one of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you play with his nephew?
Yes, I did. Al Seacott, yeah. He was a good pitcher.
He was a pitcher in the
Very good
early
competitor.
50s.
Yeah, we played together at Cleveland Indians in 1959.
Yep.
He claimed that his uncle said right to the end that he was innocent.
Yeah.
This is great. Barry, you really did a job here, I'll
Well,
tell
thank you. And this is
Outstanding.
your mentor, Mr. Stengel. That's his
The boss.
baseball hat, bronze.
He's a great man, Barry.
Yeah.
He really was.
The Dutchman, right?
Yep. Kansas City kid.
Well, Billy, There's another room with some more memorabilia. We'll have to come back to some of this, but I have my baseball cards over there, beginning from 1869 right up to the current. And as we walk through here, we come up to something that we'll always be associated with.
I lost that battle too.
The Pine Tar game.
Yeah, that's correct. Listen, so we knew about this bat in Kansas City. Greg Nettles had seen him go up to play with the bat, but he was over for about 9 in Kansas City, so you're not about to take a bat away from a guy when he's not hitting. So when he came to New York and hit the home run off of Gossie's right away, just as soon as he hit the home run, I went out after the bat, and the umpire ruled right, and the umpire should have been backed by the league president, but that's one mistake Leo really made, and that was a real boo-boo on his part.
Well, you know, after that game was played, I got a call in my office a few days later from the man who caught the ball. And he was sitting in section 33, seat 33.
Oh, is that right?
And the wind-up is I went and got the ball from him, made a trade, some season tickets, and I didn't think the ball would be that valuable because it was the bat, actually. But then I brought the ball into the clubhouse and showed it to the Goose and told him this is the ball. And I showed him the proof, the affidavit that the man
Is that right?
And Goose said, well, what do you want me to do? I said, well, write something on there, Goose, you know, to Barry. And so he wrote, to Barry, I threw the bleeping thing.
I wish he would have went with it. That's how I felt that day.
If you look at this wall here, you'll see.
Oh, look at that.
I have, right behind the babe, I have about 900 uniforms. If we come right here.
That's amazing.
I just happen to have a uniform that you might remember.
Oh, that's my whole Oakland Oaks uniform.
Yep.
Oh, I know it.
Number 11.
Number 11, yeah. See, I always did stick with the ones.
That's right.
How about that?
And
look at how heavy that thing is.
It's what I wanted to show you. This one.
That's my number 12, my first year, yeah.
And here it is where it says 1950.
Yeah.
Now, when I told Pete Sheehy that I had this uniform, which I'd gotten from a collector many years ago, he said, I bet you don't have his rookie uniform.
Pete had it, huh?
I said, was number 1 or number 11? He said, no, it was number 12. He said, you come here tomorrow, and I'm going to fix you up with this uniform.
That was our road uniform.
I bet you it would still fit you, too.
I don't know. But I'll tell you, it was quite a thrill just putting that on.
I don't want to keep buying things, trading things. I found that when I've traded things, I don't mind doing it to get something of quality, but a few years later, the value has quadrupled. Like 10 years ago, they talked about the Honus Wagner card worth $10,000. It was like oohs and ahs. Today, it's worth $100,000 in 10 years. Now, you can't get that kind of an increase in stocks unless you happen to hit one out of a million, but the baseball card industry has really skyrocketed in value, especially the older cards, where Mickey Mantle card, 1952 Mantle card, is going for about $8,500. I mean, it's not like there's 10 of them. There's thousands of them, but it's just Mickey Mantle. His name and his importance in baseball and what he has created, the popularity has made this card what it is today. Just recently, about 2 years ago, Mickey approached me and asked me if I would like to have some interest in his restaurant. And I said I would help him out by loaning him a lot of items that he had signed for me throughout the years, let him know that I never sold them. And he's, oh, I believe you, no kidding. And that's what I did. I loaned him a lot of things that are hanging in the Mickey Mantle's restaurant right now in New York City. Hello, Mickey.
Hey, Barry, how are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. I brought something with me that I don't think you've seen for a long time.
Well, you've given us so many things in here to show around, I can't imagine what it'd be.
How about this? Number 6.
My first year jersey.
Yeah, with the 1951 golden anniversary patch.
Yeah.
50 years in baseball. Tell me about the number 6.
Well, first, when I first came up, you know, in the spring training that year, we trained out in Phoenix, and the New York press was writing. I hit about 10 or 12 home runs, right and left-handed and everything, and Casey was bragging on me. And they started saying I was going to be the next Babe Ruth, and Lou Gehrig and Joe DiMaggio all rolled into one. And so they was 3, 4, and 5, so in keeping into that line, Bobby Brown had this jersey first, but he was in the service when I came up. So Big Pete Sheehy gave me this number 6 to keep it in, like I said, like in line with the other guys. And along about the middle of the year, I had to go back down to the minors, and when I came back, Bobby Brown came back from the service. He wanted his number back. And I hadn't done that good in it anyway, so I was happy to get number 7.
Many years ago, Pete Sheehy knew about my collection, and he knew I had Babe Ruth's rookie uniform. He said, tomorrow, when you come here, he says, do you have Babe Ruth's rookie? You honestly have it? I said, I'll bring it here tomorrow. I'll show it to you. So he said, come here tomorrow. I have something for you. I went to the next game, and Pete took it out of an old bag and held up number 6. And I said, wait a minute, Bobby Brown's uniform? He said, no, no. I put Mickey's away because I knew that he was something special. Okay, Mickey, how about this hat? Marison Mantle.
Boy, that's an oldie, isn't it?
Yep. Official Marison Mantle Cap of Champions, 1961. Unfortunately, Roger can't sign it, but I sure appreciate it if you could sign it right there.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I sure appreciate all the memorabilia and stuff that you've given us. People really get a kick out of all of our customers go around looking at all this.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Mickey was just a tremendous player, and if his legs, everybody said, well, if his legs were better, he'd have been a lot greater. There's no question about it. If Mickey played another ballpark but Yankee Stadium, he'd have broke every record that was ever made. Mickey was just the most tremendous power hitter I've ever seen, and a lot of people don't know out there, the fastest runner in the history of baseball. He could outrun any man in baseball. Watch him strike out was a thrill. He'd kick a water cooler higher than most guys can move it with their arms. He had a slight temper also, which I liked. Casey used to tell him, Mickey, now, you better quit kicking that water cooler. You remember those old metal glass ones we had, the metal containers there? Well, he'd kick it so high it'd just break all over the floor, and Casey'd say, you know, Mickey, one of these days that glass is going to break, it's going to cut you, and then you won't be able to play, and you're going to hurt the Yankees, and then I'm going to have to bench you, and I'm going to have to fine you. He said, laugh it off. So he gave me the same speech, because I'd strike out and go down the dugout, and I'd take a bat and break it against the wall. He said, laugh it off. So Mickey and I were rooming that night. I said, Mickey, if I strike out tomorrow, you laugh at me, and if you strike out, I'll laugh at you. So Mickey struck out, and he comes in and I said, boy, you missed that pitch by a mile. We started laughing. The old man says, that'll be enough of that baloney. He cut us off quick.
On one trip to Fenway Park, Mickey got a threatening letter saying if he appeared on a field, his career would be ended with a .32 caliber bullet. So, not knowing what to do, but they reported to Casey Stengel, who they got the FBI involved, and everywhere they went, the FBI followed them. Well, I showed Mickey a letter of this threat. And Mickey said, boy, you know what happened the first time up? First time I came up, I hit a home run, and I ran like I was running an inside the park home run because of what this man had did.
He broke the track record.
So I go back to the hotel. Now, here's what we wanted to confirm. And you and Mickey were roommates, and you knew about the letter because the FBI was there, and they were all guarding the team. And in the hotel room, you would go over to the drapes, you know, and you'd look out. Hey, Mickey, get down! And he would dive under the bed, right?
Yeah, we had him go. Another guy had the same problem, too. It was Phil Rizzuto in 1950 when he won the MVP award. But he was, we had FBI guys on the train. He was going to be shot the day we got into Detroit, and he was so valuable at the ball club. He was sitting in the clubhouse. He was afraid to go out there to work out. So we switched numbers. I wore his number 10 and worked out as shortstop, and he wore my number 1 and worked out as second. But if the guy was going to shoot me, it had to be a great shot because I didn't stand still for a second. Then finally, after about 40 minutes of working out, Phil came up. He says, give me my number 10 back. I said, well, aren't you afraid of being shot? He says, no, so many people thought I was you, wanted to punch me. He says, I'd rather get shot.
Do you recognize this yearbook? The Berkeley Yellow Jackets of 1946.
That's who wore the Yellow Jackets. I got kicked off that team, too.
Yeah. You didn't get fired, though, did you?
No, I didn't get fired.
But the interesting thing is the back of the book has a caricature of you arguing with an umpire. And this is a senior in high school, so you were 17 years old, right? The umpire said, I says he's out. And Billy says, shut up, you tramp, he was safe. And then on the bottom of the cartoon is put, never a dull moment with Martin around. How did they know?
I don't know.
When I told you you're going to see some of the things that you've never seen before, here's the Centralian, okay? 1909. That's Casey Stengel's high school. And I have it side by side, Casey and Billy.
Kansas City.
Here's Casey over here. He's on a basketball team, he was on a track team.
He was quite a guy, I tell you. I can tell you some stories on that guy. It was unbelievable. He was Mickey. I seen him slap Mickey Mantle one day.
Mickey?
Actually boxed him, and Mickey didn't say a word. And I was hiding in the laboratory. Master psychologist, a great student of the game of baseball, a great public relation man for baseball also. He did so many things that was just outstanding. And I'll never forget all the great things he did for me.
Well, you know, Casey's is legendary. Everything he's said and done has been documented.
Number 37?
37, here's the case.
He was a battler. I tell you. Big man.
The first autographed uniform of a Hall of Famer they ever got was one from Ty Cobb. Now, to have a Ty Cobb uniform is special enough, but to have it autographed, I was a person who had many contacts, and still do, throughout the country. And my friend Joe L. Brown, who was, used to be general manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates, he collected press pins, and so did I. Press pins are the kind that the press would be allowed to go into the World Series with a special pin. Finally got to the point where he had nothing more to trade to me, but I had a due bill with him. So Joe said to me, I can get Ty Cobb's last uniform with Philadelphia if you want it. Now, he never knew it was autographed because it was folded up and it was in display. When I opened it up and saw it was autographed, I mean, I had to call him and tell him, he said, well, so it's autographed, you got a bonus, you know? I got everything from Ty Cobb's leather strap, which he used for when he was shaving, has his name on it, his cane. I even have his dentures, his shaving mug, his knife, his comb, everything has TRC, for Tyrus Raymond Cobb. About 7 or 8 years ago, I'm at the Hall of Fame at an induction ceremony, and sitting next to my wife was someone, I didn't know who it was, but there wasn't time for everybody to introduce everybody. Anyway, Sharon said to me, she leans over and says, you know, the man to my left has a tie clasp that says, property of Ty Cobb. So I figured, well, he must be a collector, but I don't know, he looked like a guy in his late 60s, and then I started looking at it, I said, you know, he does look like Ty Cobb. Maybe it's his son. So I introduced myself and Sharon to him, and he said his name is James Cobb. So I said, James Cobb, are you related to Ty Cobb? You know, that was a natural response. He said, yes, I'm one of his sons. So I said, being I knew everything about Ty Cobb, I said, he didn't have a son named James. So he got all bent out of shape, and he was really drinking a little, and he's, well, what were his son's names? So I said, well, he had a son named Howell, and he had a son named Herschel. Before I go any further, he says, well, I'm Howell, but who the hell wants to be Howell Cobb? So I changed my name to James. So he took out his license to show me. There's James, and in parentheses, Howell Cobb. He switched his first and second names. And we started talking, and he said, and you can't have this tie clasp either. Nolan, you know, it's great to see you again, and I think the last time we saw each other was when I had you sign your California Angels uniform. We were at Shea Stadium at that time, and you said to me, my God, where'd you get that uniform? And I said, well, I've been collecting. And you said, I'd love to get my '69 Met uniform if you have one. I said, so happens I do. Then what did you propose?
Well, that's right, Barry. I really didn't realize that I might have the opportunity to get that uniform, and at the time, '69, it really hadn't even crossed my mind. So I proposed trading you my 4,000 strikeout uniform top for my '69 top. You weren't sure if that was even enough, so you said, what if I include a ball? Ball from the 5th no-hitter. I said, I'll tell you what, now you're over the limit, and if you want to do that, it's fine with me. And I was real pleased with it, and then you threw in a Walter Johnson autographed baseball, and I still have that, which is one of the few mementos that I have. Well, I appreciate getting my '69 top because that's something I have one from each team I played with, and that's something I'm going to give my kids, so I really didn't think there was opportunity for me to get it back.
Strike 3 called, and the Ryan Express has passed the big train. 3,509 career strikeouts, an all-time Major League Baseball record.
Billy, here's a baseball hat that, from all appearances, looks like a normal cap. Brooklyn Dodgers. But in here's a plastic insert that the Dodgers made Jackie Robinson wear. His number 42. Yeah. Because, you know, there weren't helmets then. And
no, I came up, we didn't wear helmets. Of course, it saved a lot of guys' lives, those plastic helmets.
Well, Jackie Robinson, I guess they were afraid that people would be throwing at him when he first came up. But, you know, in head-to-head competition in the World Series, most of the people watching, young kids, they know you're a manager, but they might not know about your baseball career. And in the World Series, you definitely outplayed Jackie. At 52 World Series, 7th game, 7th inning, they bring in Bob Cazava to face the Dodgers in Ebbets Field, a left-handed pitcher. And Jackie Robinson pops up on a 3-2 pitch.
Bases were loaded. Yeah, it was a 3-2 curveball, but I was playing Jackie pull. When the ball went up in the air, I looked over at Joe Collins and said, no, it was his ball, and he lost it in the sun. Just as soon as I saw that, I went after the ball. The wind blew it, and I caught the pop fly between home plate and the pitcher's mound. It was a freak play, Barry, but this guy was some competitor, and it was a challenge for me to try to beat him. Every time we match up in the World Series, well, second base goes to the Dodgers, Jackie Robinson, which no question about it. He put great numbers on the board as a hitter, and he could do it all. And he had no fear. He was fearless, and he was just a great player. But it was a challenge to me because I wanted to outplay him, and thank the Lord I got lucky and I played a little better than he did in the World Series.
Well, it's a matter of rising to the occasion, and Billy Martin did what he was supposed to do.
Power on second, and Billy the Kid Martin, most dangerous yank of all, facing pitcher Clem Labine. Billy hits it for a sizzling single into center, and that's the blow that spells a 4-3 victory as Bauer comes in with a winning score and pandemonium rocks Yankee Stadium.
There's something else I want to show you that we haven't covered yet. I'd like you to just look at this wall right over here.
You kidding me?
Nope.
I feel like I'm looking at one of those 1928 movies. Is Dracula going to come over here?
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes, right? Housed in this little center here is the oldest known baseball in the history of the world. 1859. It's in a glass bottle. And there's Ty Cobb and Christy Matheson, an advertisement for the baseball cards from 1909 that appeared in, they put in the little candy stores or tobacco stores in those days.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And here's the baseball, March 1859. Excelsiors versus Brooklyn.
Isn't that something?
I'd like to know how they got it in there. A lot of memorabilia that I never knew existed comes to me in strange manners. For instance, I have a baseball that I cherish dearly, that in the story was written about me in the Smithsonian. The writer, Robert Creamer, said, "Is there anything special that you would want?" So I said, if I could get something that says to my pal Barry from Babe Ruth, then I got to lock the doors and say, that's it, I don't want anything else. Well, a week after this article came out, I get a call from a lawyer who lives in Washington, D.C., and his name was Barry Klein, and his father had a candy store in 1943 in Asbury Park, where the Yankees used to train because they couldn't go south because of the World War II, and they had certain restrictions. And you get the general drift of the story. He had a ball that his father had Babe Ruth sign, who came in there every day for the daily racing for him. And the man said, I have 4 daughters. I can't cut it up. I've had it all these years. All I want is visitation rights here, see your collection one time, and you can have this ball. To my pal Barry from Babe Ruth.
Now, here are some inside tips on collecting baseball memorabilia from Barry Halper and the pros.
Well, as far as advice for the kids about collecting baseball cards, it's different. Again, when I was growing up, there was nobody selling sets. You couldn't go to a dealer and buy a set because there were no dealers. The companies didn't sell cards, complete sets to anybody. Today, you can buy a package for $1.59 and get a lot of the repeat cards, have duplicates, but also available to the kids are complete sets, which are very inexpensive compared to what the value will eventually become. For instance, any of the sets that start out today might go somewhere between $12 and $16 or $18. You get the whole set of 600 plus cards. As far as the previous cards from different years, which have become more valuable, a Pete Rose rookie card, a Mattingly rookie, a Gooden rookie, those cards are running over $50, $60, $70, $80 a card. Pete Rose is in the hundreds already. Now they have reprints out of a lot of those cards, but they have to say reprints on them. So I don't know, reprints to me never would mean anything because it's not like having the original. It's not going to ascend in value. It's going to stay the way it is. So you have to try to buy a complete set, try to get the original cards from years ago, try to get them when they're not too expensive because they're only going to appreciate and more in value.
As a kid, I never collected anything and was never really interested in that much, and maybe it was because I was never in a major league city or a major league city as far as basketball or anything else. But there was people I idolized, and as I got a chance to play in this league and play alongside a few of those guys, I wanted to get a bat from, I got a bat from Brett.
Can't help
like
it,
I said, Carew bat and Jimmy Rice and a few guys that I loved to watch play and enjoyed their style of play, and it was a big thrill for me. And I've never said I was a big autograph collector, but those things did. They made me feel good, and they're things that I have a lot of pride in at home.
As far as getting autographs from the Major League ball players or retired players, if you see them at an airport or a hotel, you're not going to get as good an autograph as you would if you went to a baseball card show because, first of all, you're not going to have the ball with you, usually, or the picture or the bat that you want signed or a glove. So I don't think it's so terrible that they have these baseball card shows because everybody's happy. The promoter's happy. He's paying a player who's happy. The people who come in basically are happy that they're paying X amount of dollars for an autograph, and the son is certainly happy that he can meet one of his idols or one of his father's idols or somebody from Andy Carey, who played for the Yankees for a few years at third base, or a Mickey Mantle or a Joe DiMaggio or Ted Williams. You know, everybody's getting up in years. It's not so terrible to have their autographs, and it's something that will only rise in value.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think that people go to them shows, they want a certain autograph, they're going to pay for it. The person who's signing autographs put his time in. He spent 20 or 30 years in baseball, and he's just getting a little something back that he never got before, not getting the money that the players are getting now, so I don't see nothing wrong with it.
First of all, what does it cost, $10 or $15 to get in? You can get a baseball signed. You can bring a baseball with you and get me to sign it, and it becomes twice as valuable.
We know
so it's not like they're just paying to get an autograph. You know, it's a pretty big business.
When you're getting a baseball autographed, it's always best to do a ballpoint pen, not a blue Sharpie. Blue Sharpie looks great on a baseball. Joe DiMaggio. It really looks great. But in about 6 months, it starts blotting into the ball, and the J and the O and the E become double in size. It just starts spreading. And in 10 years, you'll have a ball that you can't read. But that Sharpie pen is the only pen that you use on a picture, an 8x10 glossy or anything bigger, 11x14 or 11x15, because it just glides on the picture and it looks great. And as far as signing on a hat or a glove, you can use the Sharpie, because as long as you keep it out of the light, it'll last that many more years. Once you get the baseball autograph with a ballpoint pen, and you're not going to have any more autographs put on it, you can do two things to preserve the quality of the ball. One is to get some clear acrylic spray and hold the ball away from you like this, and with a glove on, and just spray the ball. Or you can paint it with varnish. If you got a real strong signature, the varnish is okay. But don't forget, you can write on top of it once you have that done, so that takes care of ever getting another autograph. But you have either of those two alternatives to preserve the baseball. I think the ball players are more reluctant to sign during the season, but they're more accessible during the spring training, because it's the beginning of the season, there's no pressure. That's what the players like it best, no pressure, and they could sign things more readily for you. A lot of times before a game, when they're batting practice, you'll hear some of the kids yell, hey Don, you know, and he comes over and he signs. Pretty soon the group of 5 grew to 20 and 40, and then he has to leave. But if you hang around the ballpark long enough, believe me, you can fulfill your dreams of getting autographs if that's what you want, or taking a picture with a ball player. Like what I would have given to have a picture with Babe Ruth when I was asking him to sign this sheet I had. But it's equivalent to today to someone sitting with, you know, Darryl Strawberry or Bo Jackson or Don Mattingly or, you know, any famous ball player.
I sign autographs in my restaurant here all the time.
Right.
And they don't cost anything. I want everybody to know that. And on an airplane, in flight, when there's nothing to do anyway, like it's 3 hours from Dallas to New York, you're just sitting there 3 hours. I carry these cards with me on the airplane in a bag, you know, and I sign anything anybody wants.
I don't see anything wrong in autographs. I love to sign for little kids. I'll sign all day long if they're polite and say thank you. Doesn't bother me a bit. I just don't like people sticking a piece of paper in your face, hey, sign this like you're supposed to. And I think there's always a, will you please sign this, and thank yous, and I think that's proper.
A lot of times kids try to get you, or people try to get you on a travel day. You're carrying all your luggage around, and it's tough when you're at an airport trying to pick up baggage or something. But when you're sitting around with you know, time on your hands, and you're just kind of waiting for one thing or another, that's a perfect time for autographs.
As far as kids are concerned, I really don't mind signing it for them, and as long as they're polite, I feel it's an honor to visit with them and sign them. If during dinner it's a tough time, and a lot of people will disturb your meal to come over and ask for an autograph.
There's a lot of good situations, but there's also some bad. I think never at dinner.
It was about 2 years ago, I know you'll remember, maybe a lot of people wouldn't, but they thought I was having a heart attack coming in. I was just, you know, I was exhausted.
Right.
And they had paramedics there, and they come and took me off of the plane on a stretcher, and they had the oxygen in my nose, and I'm laying there, you know, they got me pinned to the stretcher. And as we're going out of the airplane, out through the crowd, some guy looks down and he says, hey, aren't you Mickey Mantle? I go, yeah. You know, I had that thing in my nose. He goes, would you sign this for me? I mean, as far as he knew, I was dying.
Could have been the last autograph he ever got.
Well, yeah, it would have been a good one, I guess.
I think it's one of the things that even the players will talk about. Did you see the look on that kid's face? Sure. Or did you see the smile you brought on that kid's face? And And it also goes the other way. Sometimes you got 50 people and you're on the way out and you don't get to sign everybody, and you see a kid with his head down, you just feel terrible, you know, you're like, it's like heartbreaking.
I really think it's very important that you sign all kids' autographs, every player who's played and who's playing now, because to that child it means an awful lot.
And that's like the cornerstone to the future, because if they remember that Billy Martin signed an autograph for me, they will have a better feeling as opposed to someone who walked away and didn't.
I'll give you a better example. That's how you got started.
That's right. Thanks, Phil.
My pleasure.
Okay. Well, the weather vane that's on top of my house belonged to Roger Connor, who was a Hall of Famer, played for the Giants at the turn of the century. And I was reading a book by Marty Appel about Cooperstown, all the players in Cooperstown. And on one page, it showed the top of a roof with a weather vane on it. I started reading about Roger Connor, and he lived in Waterbury, Connecticut. And I just was curious, whatever happened to the weather vane? So I called Marty, who I know personally, and asked him about it. He says, well, how would I know? I don't know, I guess, let me see what I can find out. He called me back, he said he found out that that house where Roger Connor used to live is now a masonry company. Gave me the name, so I pursued it and called the company up, and they said, yes, it's still on top of the roof. We're not taking it down. It's been there for years. So I made him a proposal. I said, if he can get someone to take it down, I'll send him some toilet paper, some towels, and cups for my business, and he could have it there and give the man $100 who takes it down. And that's what he did. And he sent me a letter that this is what it was and how it came off, and now it's on top of my roof. It's from 1895, and it's a weather vane with a bat and a ball, and it's a little weather beaten. You know, forget it's almost 100 years been sitting up there. But it's on my house now, and it's just, I wonder to myself, why is it here? My wife said, as long as it's outside, just outside.